I'm Sir Flowbojan Thunderhammer.
And I'm Teflon Frosthammer.
And I'm Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this
is
WAK.
If Amtgard knighthood means anything, you can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
And the thing that people need to understand essentially about arts and sciences events is that your scores don't matter.
You want a black phoenix or a white phoenix?
Jeez, language, man. We're on a
right.
freaking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Mind-blowing experience, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAK, where we discuss topics important to the Amtgard community at large and talk with interesting people from around the foam fighting world. If you like what we do and would like to support the channel, you can see all the links below to do that. One of the best things to do is just subscribe to the channel. It really does help us bring you better content. This week, we have Grand Duke Sir Broton, Locksalt, Paragon Assassin, Barbarian, Bard, and Wizard of Greenharbor in the Kingdom of Polaris. Broton, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So, Broton, how did you get into foam fighting?
Well, that's actually a very fun story. I actually was recruited from an anime convention. I mean, if you can't tell from all these bookshelves behind me full of manga and things, I am sort of a weeb. And
It's your people.
I know.
It just sort of happened. I was like just wandering around the local anime convention here, and they had a panel. It's like, come try LARP. Before come try LARP was
Really?
Come try LARP. That was the name of the panel.
Wow.
That's cool.
So I was just like, oh my god, I've always wanted to do that because I've been a giant like D&D nerd, and it's like been playing it since like the 6th grade, and I was just like, oh man, I've read about these like in Dragon magazine, like in the back they had like little experts about it. So I went up there, went to the panel. Turns out it wasn't a panel about LARP whatever. It was just an improv thing. But I was just like, wow, this is a giant letdown. But just luck for me. The guy I was sitting next to was wearing a tabard, and he had the coolest like foam axe I've ever seen in my life. It was literally made out of a couch cushion.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was like, I want to talk to this guy. So I was really nervous, but I sat through this very awkward, cringy panel, and it's like, didn't say a word to him. I'm like, no, I need to talk to him. And it's like, it was the end, and he just started getting up and going. I'm like, wait, sir, that's a super cool axe. Can you tell me about it? And then he's just like, oh yeah, it's like, I made this myself. I'm a part of a LARP. That's why I actually came to this, but then we made fun of the panel together for like a couple minutes. And
Perfect.
Then he's like, man, if you're really interested, I'm part of this game called Amtgard. It's like, you should really like check it out. And I was like, dude, give me that information. And I wrote a bunch of information down. This was back in 2009. So it's like, it wasn't super like easy to get information.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like figuring out where to go and stuff like that. But yeah, just ran into a random Amtgarder in garb at a con, and that's how I got here.
Hey, by the way, speaking of figuring out how to go, we don't hype this enough, but Come Try LARP is a great place to go if you are looking for Amtgard in a certain area that you're going to be traveling to or something like that. If your group has not already registered on Come Try LARP, please go do so. It's just a great resource, especially for people that are going to an area maybe they haven't been to before. Great group of people running it too.
You know, it kind of surprises me how long it took for Amtgard to gel into like a real web presence. Because like you were mentioning 2009 and still not being able to find great info. It's like, yeah, that is kind of like, why did it take us that long?
Guys, we had the Amtgard Atlas and stuff. It was really easy to find things, right?
Yeah, right. Anyway, so we kind of have it's not really a joke, but there's a running theme where you either get assigned a name against your will or you get lucky and pick one. So how does Broton come about? Did you pick this name or did somebody foist it upon you?
I actually ended up picking my name.
Lucky.
So my first day out, it's like I come up, I showed up with my best friend, and it's like not sure what's really going on because it was a group in just the middle of a park. It was like 4 people because I didn't know what Amtgard time was at that point. So I showed up like 15 minutes early. No one was there. My friend's like, yeah, let's just go get a burger. And I'm like, no. We'll give it a half an hour, then we'll leave. But it's like then a bunch of people in Renaissance clothes started showing up, and I walk up and there's like, oh, are you here to fight? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. What are we supposed to do? They hand me a clipboard. First you sign in, and I'm like, what does this even mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you put your real name and then your fighting name. But I'm like, what's a fighting name? Oh, you get to pick your own name here. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. What do people tend to pick? Because I don't know, brand new to the game. And it's like, my now friend, like at the time I didn't know her, but Saffron was just like, oh, what's your WoW character's name? Do you play WoW? A lot of people go with that.
Oh God.
And it's like, I don't know. I must have gave a look or something like that. But she's like, well, I mean, you don't have to pick that if you don't like WoW. And I'm like, I do play WoW, but if I'm going to pick a nerd name, I'm picking a dwarf name from D&D. And so I started in 3.0 D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the examples for dwarf is Broton, Brotton. And I forgot the second T.
Ah, okay.
So it's because I'm dyslexic. So, I mean, writing's not my big forte. So it's like, ever since then, it's like, whenever I would make a dwarf character, that's what I would do. I'm Broton. Broton this, Broton that. And they're like, what name do you want? Of course, I'm going to pick Broton.
Right.
And everyone's like, that's super cool. I mean, someone tried naming me Fun Noodle.
Uh-huh.
It's like, and he ran for like 3 weeks. Call me Fun Noodle. And I'm like, no, my name's Broton.
Yeah, stick to your guns. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you would have become Fun Noodle.
Yeah.
We would
Oh,
be
yeah.
interviewing Grand Duke Sir
Yeah.
Fun Noodle.
If at any point somebody yelled "Fun Noodle" and you turned around, it's over.
Yeah,
it's all
you're done.
downhill.
Oh, I mean, it's like he tried really hard too. My second week, he put a Fun Noodle sticker on my back. So
No.
other people were calling it too, like the kick me sign. So I'm just like, nope. I know how this system works.
It would be kind of interesting because now like Fun Noodle isn't something we use anymore. It's all Frost King or Drill Spot because Fun Noodle got kind of shitty. So
Yeah.
like, you're Fun Noodle, what's that? And it's like, oh, it's this really old foam we used to use, but we don't anymore because it got bad. Having to explain that to newbies.
It's funny. I was looking over your Amped Wiki here while we were talking. So you have a couple of former companies. One of them we know because some of their members are down in Neverwinter, which was our parent kingdom, and that is the Phoenix Guard.
Yeah.
Oh.
We knew Sir Russ, Evil Russ.
Yes.
And we ran into we just now went down for one of our buddies' nightings a couple weeks back, and Russ's son was in Phoenix Garb stuff, and I hadn't seen the kid since he was 9 years old. And I walked up, I was like, hey man, how you doing? Your pop still come out? And he's like, nah, he's retired now. But so how long ago were you in Phoenix Guard?
So I was in Phoenix Guard like in about 2010. Like I got in late 2009. That's when I started petitioning. Then I was in there for a long time. And it's like I got along with a lot of the people, like Sir Zodiac was like a big inspiration to me. It's like, I mean, he was one of the big names around here. So it's like, of course he was like one of my, like, I don't want to say idol because idol is a strong word, but
Right.
he like inspired me a lot. And it's like the majority of my park, my starting park was Miss of the Dawn. And like, I want to say about half or 3/4 of the park was Phoenix Guard. So it just sort of made sense. And I mean, we all got along and it just made sense.
You're not still a member of a company now, though? You have no company?
I'm actually part of a local company called Anyar.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
Okay.
I'm actually one of the founding members of it. So
Nice.
Good stuff. The House Ravenous was another one that I saw on there, which I think that I don't know if I knew their Amp Guard context. I've heard of them in Dagon Bell. but I didn't know that is it the same household or they cross game?
I'm going to assume it was different because it was just like my friend Ravenos.
You seem too sane to be in the Dagbell version of House Ravenous. I don't know a polite way to put this.
I mean, catch me on the wrong day. Well, it might be a different story. Like, funny enough, so it's like sometimes I just get bored at events. So it's like I was always told, if you're not having fun, make your own fun.
Yes.
So we have this big LARPing event up here in Minnesota, Wisconsin called the Great Adventure Challenge, where it's a nonstop role play, questing the whole time. And 1 year, it's like I thought I was like, the way my schooling and work was set up, I was moving away. So I was like, all right, guys, hey, can I just do this one thing? Because I'm going to be gone. You don't have to worry about ramifications. A year goes by, plans get wrecked. I show up and everyone's like, Broton, I thought you said you were moving. And I'm like, I'm not Broton. And I pull out a pair of fake glasses and put them on. And I'm like, I'm Brotherton, his twin brother.
Yes.
And it's like, whenever I do chaotic stuff, it's with him. I mean, Brotherton does chaotic stuff. Broton above the board.
We have someone here in Winter's Edge that looks very much like someone else. You know, we have Beefy, who goes to our park. He's a really cool guy. And we have this other guy named Tamerlan, who looks shockingly like him.
Yeah.
It's a real Bender Flexo situation.
Yeah, but Tamerlan does a lot of really crazy stuff that Beefy would never do.
Yeah, no.
So what's your big thing? I know that you're in Polaris. We have quite a few friends.
What's his big thing? He's got like 5 Paragons.
Yeah, I know. We have a couple of friends in Polaris. I know that it's a big battle gaming kingdom, and you have quite a few Paragons here, as we mentioned. Has battle gaming always been a big part of your Amtgard life?
For me, yeah, that was like the big draw. Like my number one draw to the game was battle gaming. It's like I've always like sports and stuff like that and teamwork, and it's like, once again, being a big D&D nerd, it's just that concept of I'm out. It's like my first 3 years, I was just a barbarian. I was a barbarian through and through.
Thank you.
I have like
good choice.
Garb. I have a bear hat made out of a real bear, like a bear face. And
a little extreme.
I would just get,
no, not extreme
when
enough.
you were going berserker, that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just the community up here is just really fostering of that too. It's like we get really into battle gaming, not just from a technical point of view. It's how can we improve it and make people want to do it more.
That's really cool.
So you always get that one player. It's like, I have to win no matter what. But then we usually like, hey, come talk with us a little bit over here. It's like, don't mess this up for the new people, okay?
Right.
You can win. You don't need to stomp.
Yeah, that's really cool because like typically I think of Polaris and I think kind of like very technical battle game type stuff. I've never actually set foot in Polaris, so it's really just like hearing about stuff and things like that. So like knowing that it is not just technical and it is very fun atmosphere with it is very cool. And I kind of got that vibe also at the same time though, knowing about GAC and Dungeon Day, I think it is, and things like that. So that's really cool and good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, like right now I like setting goals for myself. So I'm working for a Paragon Scout because everyone told me Scout's the worst class. I sort of agree. But
yeah.
So it's like, to make it more fun for me, it's like I have a Boy Scout, a Freedom Scout uniform.
Yeah.
And it's like me and a few friends, our sashes, we're getting badges for all the work we do. And it's just all that. And we're just helping the community and bringing freedom to anywhere we go.
Yeah, I got my Spotted an Assassin badge.
I mean, I do.
Jeez.
I tracked a lot of assassins that day to get that.
Man, I'd love to see the layout for the merit badges for that, because that would be actually legit fun to do.
Right.
I mean, hey, if people are interested, Freedom Scout Troop 952 is always recruiting.
Oh, I love that they're in troops.
Yes.
Hold on.
I mean, I actually have a big banner I got made up at Paragons, this event we do in November, which is like Amtgard event, but anime convention type style.
Mm-hmm.
It's
neat.
like I did a big panel, so I got like a banner made for the troop and all that, and we're just talking about scouts for a half an hour. And
I almost picture it as like fighting companies, but there's just troops in different parts, and it's just a fighting company full of scouts, of course. So actually, talk me through this, because you do have, I think it's 4. I think I was off by 1. You have a lot of Paragons. I think you have the most of anyone we've talked to at this point. So it seems like you have and like you said, you're going for Paragon Scout. So it seems like you have a method to the madness here. How do you go about achieving that? Is it just like learning the class really intently, or do you have a particular like way of working on a class that builds you up to Paragon?
It's like my method for like going for a Paragon is first you got to know the class. It's like there's so many people, especially like here in Polaris. It's like we low key mock other Paragons just because like some kingdoms just you've played this game I played Barbarian for like 5 years. Everyone's like, oh yeah, they deserve it, and I'm like, but they don't know how to use the abilities. It's fine, whatever. So it's like you know the class, know how the abilities work. Then it's like getting into it. It's like once I learn like the key core mechanics of a class, that's when I add like the flavor. It's like for my scout stuff, I added the freedom scout stuff to it. I mean, I'm not a Paragon in that, but better example. Wizard.
Soon enough, though. I mean,
maybe. I mean, if people think I'm good enough, that's another thing. Never expect to be a Paragon.
Yeah.
Like, do your best, and if other people notice it, it's the cherry.
right.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, after you learn the class, then start enhancing it. Find like a little niche that makes you want to do it more. With Wizard, I was like, I'm the Wizard of the North. I specialize in sorcery and like hold person, icy blast. It's like non-killing spells. I'm not here to kill. I'm here to make sure no one is doing anything, because in the winter no one wants to move.
Right.
It's like I called myself a frost mage and
Right.
all this, and I have garb made up for it, and then it's just figuring out how your class interacts with other classes. It's like really, it's like if you want to break down what a Paragon, well, controlling a field and knowing how your class works with other classes very intensely. It's like there's so many little niche things you can do. It's like for Assassin, for my Paragon Assassin, it's like, oh, cool, I'm using one of my get out of jail free cards. It's like, but there's a scout right there, and I know that scout does not know placement on the field.
Right.
So I will teleport right at that scout because I want that scout to track me out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will kill the scout, then kill his teammates, because the scout will be standing in the back line for some reason. And it's like, cool, thanks for popping me out and allowing me to kill your people.
Yep.
Yeah, you did exactly what I wanted you to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, every class has it's like, I like to think of a triangle. It's like abilities, like what you can make enhance the class, and then whatever the class specializes in. If you can master all three, that will get you a Paragon.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're actually, Teflon's on our Circle of Paragons, and they have like a rubric that they use to assess Paragon status. I don't know if like, I know most other kingdoms I don't think have a Circle of Paragons, but is there like a similar structure?
Polaris does have a Circle of Paragons.
Oh, perfect.
It depends on the monarch if they listen to us.
Fair.
That's fair.
Because like
It's the same way
Sorry.
here too.
Would you say that your monarch would be willing to give out, and I'm just tossing something out here, a Paragon flow to someone that really represents a flow?
I gave you one. I gave you a Paragon flow, but you wouldn't shave the stripe into your chest.
Yeah, I want to get one from all 23 or so kingdoms.
Fair.
I mean, all honesty, here in Polaris, if you came up here and participated and actively did whatever your goal is, we acknowledge people who achieve what they go for, but at the same time, just if you just come up and just do flow, that's not going to happen. You have to advance it somehow.
Oh, hey, hold on. Flow's a lot. So the what's your favorite types of battle games? Do you have a favorite game that you like to play, or scenario, or something?
To be honest, it all depends on the size of the game. Is it local game? Is it a kingdom level game?
Good answer.
It's like locally to get better. I am a firm believer. To get better, you have to be put in situations that aren't even. It's like if you want to get good, get put on an uneven team. Mm-hmm. It makes you stretch your abilities to overcome stuff like that. So I prefer like murder box scenarios. If you guys know what that is.
Maybe by a different name. I haven't heard that particular name. Car box.
Basically, you make like a 40 by 20 foot box, and then it's a life pool game.
Uh-huh.
So you just get fed in to a very small area, and it makes you think really hard, really fast what's happening.
Interesting. It's almost like a drill from soccer from whenever I played that, to be perfectly honest.
It's like I'm a giant fan of that. A good portion of our parks here also do like little skirmishes where we'll engage like teams of 5 against each other. Then after 3 rounds, we'll sit and critique each other. It's like, I noticed you did this or you did this. That excelled. I did not see that coming. That is great. And stuff like that to help build each other's abilities.
That's cool you do it like on a park level. Like we've done that kind of stuff like on a friend group, but at a park level is actually really refreshing to hear. It's kind of neat.
So for that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I also enjoy a good game of Ring the Bell. Mm-hmm. Actually, like my park, we play a version of Ring the Bell we call Ding Ding. So to score, it's like the game is always going, there's no reset. You run across, you hit the shield, that scores you a point. But either you have to die or go back and ding your own bell to be able to activate the ding again. So it's a big cardio game.
Oh, I like that.
I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone's playing Ding Ding now. Mm-mm. You guys are screwed.
I'm playing Scorekeeper.
You need somebody to count stones for that, I'm sure.
Yep, there's got to be a stone counter. Yep.
Because cardio is a very big thing in Polaris. Because it's like if you can outmove your opponent, you're going to win every time. So
avoid Polaris. Not a cardio boy.
I mean, it varies park to park. It's just speaking in broad terms, but
no, I got you.
Yeah. But bigger games, I'm a big fan of like Capture the Flag or King of the Hill type things where it's multiple points going at once. So there's a lot more strategy going into it. Mm-hmm. I love strategy games. For bigger games, smaller games, like I said, it's just let's kill each other, figure out what we did, then move on to the next thing.
It's harder to make like a true objective game with smaller teams. It really feels that way anyway for Amp-Guard, because it sometimes just boils down to a kill game anyway.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, I'm also a sucker for like a set amount of lives because I started in early V7. So
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually grew to love V8, but when life doesn't mean anything, people don't think that far ahead. It's like, oh, I'll just keep running against the wall. Eventually the wall will crumble.
Yeah. I'm curious because you're kind of a higher level player with this too and have experienced the life count. Well, I definitely feel that the life count is kind of punishing for new players potentially, but I feel like the game kind of gets slowed down because people aren't willing to throw themselves against the wall over and over. And I wonder if that ended up being actually better for new players than V8 in a way, curious if you have any kind of opinion on that.
Like realistically, I think life counts in the long run is better for newer players, just because I think back when I started, it was just because it's like when I started, like I said, Barbarian was my first class for X amount of years, and it's like, I swear to God, I started with like 3 lives.
Yeah, it was 3, at least in 6. I don't remember 7, but 3 lives was definitely V6.
A lot
and
of,
it's like,
oh, go ahead.
No, and it's like, and you didn't get like fight after death until your last life. So everyone's like burn through it, and I'm like, as a new player, I'm like, oh, but then I sat out most of the game. But it's like at first I thought it was like, wow, this is like not that good, but a veteran player would come sit with me and explain what's happening in front of me, and that gave me a bigger. It's like, instead of being upset that I'm not playing, I'm soaking in what's happening and what to do. But that varies group to group. It's like, if people are just like, no, noob, you're out, just go sit there for the next 20 minutes,
right?
That's going to suck. And I know that.
I mean, in that time, there was the reason I played Warrior and have a level 6 Warrior despite never having owned a scrap of armor is because I got more lives. And eventually I got a shield that couldn't be broken by most stuff.
It's weird, too, because a lot of the pictures we have of you when you were younger, before you took your break, you're wearing armor in every single one of them.
It's Donnie's armor.
Yeah.
It's exclusively Donnie. It's Sir Darko's armor before he was Sir Darko. He's like, I made this leather, but it doesn't fit me. And I'm like, ooh, pick me. Let me wear it.
So you guys meet through, do some online stuff through the pandemic. And during Plague Reign, you are awarded your Knight of the Crown. This is in, I think, 2020.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah, 2020. So walk me through that. Has Office always been a big part of your Amp Guard life, or is it something that you kind of worked into later?
Office has always been a big part of my Amp Guard life. It's like I've been in the game for 12-ish years now, something like that. And I've probably been out of offense probably a year and a half total time. I've always been in some position. I mean, it's the way I was raised. My parents always told me, if you see a problem and no one's fixing the problem, step up and fix the problem.
Yeah.
So it's like starting at Mist of the Dawn. It's like a lot of people didn't want to be Monarch, didn't want to be Sheriff. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll try that out, guys. And it's like, it was just back road country, Amp Guard.
Yeah.
Like, it was like everything was a little different for every group. And it's like, my group, it's like, I'm sort of anal about rules. Like, just generic rules, just like, people weren't wearing sashes.
Oh.
And as a new person, I was just like, how am I supposed to know? Well, that's Bill over there. Bill always plays this class. You should just know that. And I'm like, or Bill could wear a warrior sash because he plays a warrior.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that. Every office, it was just, I had a goal or I saw something I wanted to help improve. It's like, realistically, do I like being in office? Not really.
I don't really think that anyone does, is the sad thing.
Yeah, you see a need that needs filled, or a role that you think that in some ways it can be selfish if you want to describe selfish in such a way that if I do this thing, it will make things better for everyone, which also includes me, right? I am part of everyone. It can make my park bigger, which means I get to have more fun. Mm-hmm. It could make my kingdom bigger or more healthy, which means I get to have more fun. It is not a wholly altruistic calling, or doesn't need to be a wholly altruistic calling, to say I can step in and make this better for everyone.
Yeah, for me it was mostly like ingrained Catholic guilt. like, hey, I've been taking advantage of this game for 15 years. I should probably like do my part and put something back into it and try to take the reins for a little bit. So I did.
So your Monarch, a couple of times, I set my phone down, but I know that you were Prince when Polaris was still a principality. That you came back and you did a term as Monarch, and then I think Regent, and then Monarch again, and you were knighted a little after your last Monarch reign.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to match this up timeline wise, but were you one of the first Monarchs after Polaris got its kingdomship? Is that how that worked out?
Like, I was the third reign, but I was the second Monarch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Because there was one that was in when the kingdomship happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And if we have a lot of listeners that are from smaller parks, much like the one that you described when you first came in, that may or may not be close to their kingdom and even have the opportunity to run for stuff like that. Looking back on your early time in Amtgard and your early time running into office, what kind of advice could you give to those smaller parks who were just looking for some of the stuff like you were talking about before that could boost the park up a little bit?
Probably my biggest advice I give people whenever they ask, it's like, what can we do? Like, what can I do better to be a Monarch? Well, technically rule 1 is safety.
Fair.
Rule 2 is it's the fun of the people at the park.
Yep.
It's like, if people aren't having fun, if the atmosphere isn't fun, people won't want to come back.
Right.
That should be always the main focus of being in charge. It's maybe it's like, I don't want to say you don't have to spend your own money. Like for me, I would go to the dollar store once a month, throw an event, a themed event with $20. It's like we had, God, what was it? Apocalypse Day. We had a Bribe the Reeve Day, but it was St. Patrick's Day. So a leprechaun, it's like I dressed up as a leprechaun.
Oh, I'm all about that.
Would just throw coins. We had a Valentine's Day where I made up like a special unit out there who he called himself Baby Frankie. He was like one of our bigger guys who, like had like a toga type thing on and like magic special arrows. Boom. You love Eric over there. You have to defend Eric for the rest of your life. And people would run over. It's like, oh my God. Or you hate Bill. Bill, how could you cheat on me? Ah! Just stuff like that. Or probably my favorite thing I ever did at like Shire level was it was like right after Halloween, and bags of candy were on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I had these tabards that I fabric because it was before I could sew, but I just like cut the rough shape of a tabard and painted a candy piece on there and just gave them to these guys. I'm like, you're candy golems. Whenever you die, explode and throw candy up. And it's like people just were like, oh my God, what the? And then they got to eat candy because everyone likes candy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a mix of not taking yourself too seriously and being able to, I'll say, read your park, read the people at your park, and get to know them, get to know what's going to be fun for them, and kind of structure things around that. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
No.
Oh yeah, and it's the other big thing that I tell all Monarchs is always follow through on what you say. It's like, you have done your job right if one or two people did not like what you did. In all honesty.
Fucking killed it. Hell yeah.
Because you could do a perfect job. Like, perfect to the T, local level, kingdom level. There's going to be someone who did not like that decision. And that's good because that means it's a diverse opinions coming from a group.
Yeah.
Because a diverse group is a group that keeps growing.
Yeah. Like, we talk about having different factions and stuff like that as far as like political things for Monarch and things, and it kind of sucks in some ways because you're going to disagree with someone, but that disagreement really spawns a progressive move inside the kingdom, I feel like. So as much as it kind of sucks on the first like couple of days thinking about things, later on down the road, I think it would be like, no, they challenged my decisions and stuff like this, and I grew for it. So
Yeah.
I think that's a lot better than just having a stale, everybody agrees with you kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have talked to one person from your kingdom already. He told us about some of the cool events. One of the things we've been trying to do is we've been trying to talk to different people from different kingdoms and give them a heads up, or give people a heads up on what's good about that kingdom, the reasons that you should go visit that kingdom. There's not a whole lot of people traveling right now as of the date that we're recording this, but hopefully as 2022 moves on and maybe even into 2023, we can see a lot more traveling happening again. So what are some things that you think that really stand out about Polaris?
For me, like battle game, like right now, because everything goes on a curve.
Sure.
Well, a line, you know what I mean? It's like battle gaming is something that we all strive for. It's like a big goal of the majority of the parks here.
Right.
We like in-depth, like when we role play, like we have like 2 major events a year for role play, and that's the Great Adventure Challenge, like I talked about previously, and then Dungeon Day, where every year we build a giant like dungeon crawl, and it varies every year, but we are increasing like the prop budget, to be honest, but we're getting more electronical like props in there. Like, well, since it got canceled this year, we had a laser sensor key activated door.
Ooh.
So
neat.
basically you had to bounce a laser off a reflective surface into an idol. The idol will make a sound and a thing glows.
That's really cool.
It's actually not all that expensive either, thinking about it, because it's just a light sensor at that point.
Yeah. Then, like a few years ago, we had Attack on the Underdark. So
yeah.
Prince Broton was kidnapped by Drow. So you have to go save Prince Broton. And we had this treasure box in there where they had to get these 2 amulets that had sensors in there, move them over the box, and the box would start to glow. But there was also a crooks you had to get from one of the monsters to disable the trap inside the box. And if you didn't, it sprayed spiders into your face.
Fuck.
And that was hilarious. So it's like stuff like that. And when we do role play, we get real into it. We had like for GAC last year, it was Niflheim. Oh my God, I was the questocrat. I should know the name of the game. Oh my God. My company is going to be really peeved at me. Well, it was a Viking themed game.
Mm-hmm.
But
Valheim, maybe?
Valheim, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. God. That was
I was
going to
say,
bug me all night.
I think Niflheim is the dwarven realm in Viking lore.
It's the Ice Giant realm.
Or
That's
Ice
it,
Giant.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's like there's like not goblins in there, but we have a giant goblin community here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, you guys, do you want to be the falling, the goblins? They're like, yeah, sure. So they came in, painted themselves head to toe in green. And it's like, they like introduced potatoes as a currency. So the town, we have a living town with stores in that, and ventures are coming in. It's like, how much is this magical sword? Oh, that's about 10 gold, something like that. How many potatoes is that? And they just ran with it.
That's awesome. I love when things like that happen.
Yeah. Other than those 2, I can really speak on like just our nightlife, social life, just interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Polaris, we're one giant family, and it's like, as long as you're cool and you're not here to cause a problem, everyone's just a giant. You're just a cousin to us because
Right.
we're all a giant Amtgard family.
Mhm.
We want people to come, hang out. You want to sit down, have a beer? We'll just shoot the shit for a couple hours. Don't drink beer. The last couple events, we've been getting like root beer kegs
Oh, that's
because
cool.
like more people in our kingdom don't drink. So we're just like, oh, that's pretty. You do you, bro. We're just here to like chill and relax after a day of fighting.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So do you guys like make it as a kind of a kingdom to have like an area to go chill out after battle gaming and stuff like that, to have that kind of thing, or do you guys kind of just naturally do that?
We just sort of naturally do that. It's like ever since our Goodyear push, because it's like before the Goodyear push, it's like it's like Polaris was sort of divided. There's factional fighting companies, parks. It was just very tribalism.
Mm-hmm.
But after every month meeting up with the same group of people from different areas and all for the same goal, everyone just got so like, no, it's not Broton and the Einjar versus Bill and insert company here. We're Polaris.
Mm-hmm.
So when we hang out, we're Polaris. I mean, there's like key areas people tend to gather to, but that's about it. But when you show up, is like I said, as long as you're not there to cause any problems, don't start none and you won't get none. So
Right.
Yeah, right. That's really cool because like I feel like a lot of kingdoms seemed on their journey to kingdom status seem to kind of faction and fraction a little bit because it is dealing with the same people over and over again. But you guys actually held it together, which I think is really cool.
yeah, because I don't get me wrong, I love traveling to other kingdoms. I love experiencing different things.
Mhm.
It's just I always find it weird from going from what we have here to like, all right, so where's everyone gathered? What's going on? And they're like, oh, well, if you want to hang out with this group, go over here. If you want to hang out with that group, go over there. I'm like, no, where's the big gather area? Where is everyone? And they're like, oh, you have to go fire to fire, which I'm just like, oh, okay. Sure. So,
Yeah, I can see where that would be a big thing if you're used to the all together kind of thing, and then instead of separate stuff. Because I kind of liked the separate aspect of it to where you had like the little things, so that you could just go fire to fire, like you said, and just go talk to different people. But that is another counterpoint to that, is that you do keep a fractionalized population that way. So it's really interesting.
Well, and I mean, you end up at one fire and it's a bunch of people talking about something you could not care less about, right? And so then you have to go find the next one, and
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about, I don't know, battle gaming, so you chill for a little bit, but then you get bored. You got to go somewhere else, and it's like it becomes this weird, like, finding a group that you want to be around for a long period of time ends up costing you, and it seems like that eventually drives people to just hanging out in their tent or their hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are slowly trying to recover from a very heavy hotel culture here. It just kills. It kills Amtgard. If you're younger in the game and listening to this right now, don't go get a hotel.
Listen, it kills Amtgard, but it saves my back, so, like, trade-offs, people.
Go get better camping equipment.
No.
I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah, it's fair.
I was talking Broton.
Oh, I mean, hey, for like probably 4 years, I didn't go to an event I would show up with no tent. I would just sleep. I would sleep out on the battlefield. I would put my cot out there, just sleep under the stars. And that's what I did for, like I said, like 4 years. And it's like, I agree. If you don't have to get a hotel, don't do it. You're missing out on half the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the wild stories aren't happening at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's
They're
so
happening
true.
at 1 o'clock at night.
Yep.
It's like stuff like that. I mean, Amtgard is getting a little tamer from 10, 20, whatever.
The
insert
Attitude
time.
Era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I love that. I'm going to start using that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, there's something about just being at a camping event with your friends, that's how you make the friends.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't know who this guy is, but you know what? He's like 3 feet over here. Oh, I like what he's talking about. Let's chat. All right, I'm done with that. I'm going to walk about 5 feet this way. What's going on over here? And it's just going. It's like and if I want to chill out a little bit, I'll just go walk over to the Bardic, which is more separate and quieter, and you just experience what's going on. And
Oh, that's
Right.
cool.
so it's
Oh, go ahead.
Do you guys have like a big bardic culture, or is it just usually like this kind of small fire with the same kind of like 5 or 6 people there?
to be honest, it varies on the event.
Sure.
But it's like lately, like the 2 years before COVID, it's like the culture was growing again.
Mhm.
And actually, I want to say our culture grew more during COVID because we were doing Kingdom Bardics and like on our Discord,
Mhm.
and like people would show up as like, I was seeing like 20 people in there. Then it's like it started getting advertised outside our kingdom. So people outside our kingdom were showing up, and then it's like, I'm not going to say we did it first because I do not have the facts to back that up, and it's not even a unique idea.
Right.
But I just know I started seeing it with us, then I started seeing our like neighbors around us doing it, and it's like, once again, it's like, oh, I've heard this song 20 times. I just hop over to a different server.
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool. Okay, they're telling a story over here. It's like, I love stories. I'm a storyteller. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's only so many times I can hear a Disney song before I want to do something else. So,
You mean to tell me you're getting tired of the Frozen soundtrack?
I mean, it's just a little bit.
I was going
right.
to say at most of the Amtgard Bardics that I've been at, it's I'll Make a Man Out of You
Mulan,
from
yeah.
Mulan, or let's see, I got a little bit of Beauty and the Beast. I've heard some Beauty and the Beast a couple different times.
Jamestown.
Pocahontas?
No, like from not Serenity. That's the movie. Firefly.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I went to the. Never mind. It doesn't matter what I went to. I was in a Disney mindset.
So, walk us through this. So you received your Knight of the Crown in 2020. You know, during that sort of COVID period. COVID's now kind of over. The kingdoms are starting to largely starting to gather. Some have shut back down because of Omicron and everything else. But what are you doing now? Like currently in Amtgard, are you just kind of enjoying the game finally, or you know, what's next for Broton? What's current for Broton?
Well, I am currently Kingdom Champion.
Okay.
Which we just had our turnover last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Oh, congrats.
But I was last reign's Kingdom Champion too. So right now it's just improving. I want more opportunities for people to get acknowledged with Orders of the Warrior. We also have Orders of the Marksman, stuff like that. More of the martial abilities, because it's like from being Monarch, it's like I only give out awards that were nominated to me because I'm not omnipotent. I don't know what's happening all the time.
Bingo.
And it's like that was probably like my biggest pet peeve of being Monarch, is when people would get angry at me. It's like, why didn't you give me X thing? And I would be like, why didn't you tell me X thing? And it's like, sorry.
No, I want to make I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just want to make a clarification for some of our listeners from other kingdoms. In your kingdom, the champion can actually give out awards, correct?
No, we do not.
Oh, okay. Because there are some kingdoms where champions can give out Orders of the Marksman and Orders of the Warrior. So I wanted to clarify there. Sorry, keep going.
Well, but the champion is in a better position to see some of those things happen and make the recommendation.
I totally agree.
Well, actually, in our next Kapora change, that might be happening. So.
Yeah, there you go.
And Orders of Battle now, too. I think the champion would be great to give out those.
We actually did that semi-recently. So we haven't really had a whole, like, big data set. But I can see a lot of good from it. I really can.
So what I did as champion was, all right, realistically, we have Weapon Master and Qualls to look at stuff. So I implemented 2 other tournaments, and I divided them into 5 and below and 6 and up.
Yep.
So basically, it gives the people with lower orders of the warrior to excel, to actually show themselves instead of just the better. Going into a tournament, you know who's going to win, or at least you can judge like the top 4 or 5.
Right.
So I, being mainly out of Minnesota and Wisconsin, I made a Western tournament and an Eastern tournament. And it's like I kept very detailed logs and made like a sheet, gave it to our monarch, and it's like, all right, do what you can do, bro.
Yeah.
So
You had a Minnesota and Wisconsin split, and you didn't just make it a Green Bay Vikings match?
God damn it. All right, thanks, everybody. This has been a great podcast. Goodbye.
actually, to be honest, that probably wouldn't affect our group that much.
Well, Flo
like,
is devastated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, and actually this rain, since it'll be nicer out, I'm going to do an East, West, and a Center tournament.
Oh, nice.
Plus the 2 others, so we'll have 6 tournaments in total. Because it's
I've got an idea for your tournament theme.
yeah, go.
No, it's all football. It's just all
Oh no! I mean, if we're going to play football, we'll get Amtgard football and bring jugging back up here.
Yeah.
Or Orc Ball. You could do Orc Ball as Amtgard football. Have you guys ever played that?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, Orc Ball is almost always a regional variant. But yeah, you should do that.
So yeah, it's I mean, we have a few other plans. I mean, it's not. You know, if someone wants to do it first, I want to see it. There's talks of some of the fighters and players. We want to see everyone, every kingdom, everywhere, every group is like, who's the top insert number here? Who's the top 10 fighters? Who's the top 20 fighters? Yeah. So sometime either this rain or in the fall, we're going to be doing a tournament where it's like, come show up. Everyone is best 10 out of 10.
Oh,
10 fights.
Amtgard's
And
next
everyone's
top
going to-
fighter.
Yep. Going to fight everyone, and then it's going to be a year tournament.
Hell yeah.
You can challenge for positions.
Oh, yeah. So I actually had a similar idea. I use disc golf as my basis. They have a thing called a bag tag system. So like you can challenge up, but you can't challenge down, basically, because you don't want to challenge down. You want the highest number possible on your tag, right?
Yeah.
And well, lowest, I guess, whatever way you want to look at it. But you want to be number 1. So you
It's
can challenge
Afro
out.
Samurai rules. You want the number 1 headband.
Yeah, right. No, that's basically
Actually,
it. That's
more-
exactly
yes.
it.
That was the inspiration.
Oh,
Nice.
fuck yeah.
But it's like we are starting. It's like in Polaris, we started doing these challenge coins
Ooh,
for our
yeah.
nerding tokens.
Okay.
So
Those are really cool.
we're thinking about just doing that. Then when you lose, you just pass tokens back
Yeah,
and forth.
so Lucas had made the QR codes.
Mork keychains,
Yeah.
with the QR codes.
And that's where I got the idea for the bag tag thing, because it was like 2 things together that I was looking into at the time, and I was like, we can just do it on those keychains, because there was like 50 of them for like $10 or something.
Yeah,
like
they were
that.
they're like a bulk
And you
thing on
can
Amazon.
Make whatever kind of stuff to slide into it, and even QR code it or something like that to have the standing listed or something somewhere. So yeah, if that's useful, take it. But I think we're getting close to story time. Yeah.
Yeah, so we always do a thing at the end of our show where we ask you, for your most memorable or your funniest or just, your most compelling moment in your time in Amtgard. We ask that you keep it legal. So if a crime happened, maybe leave that story out. But if you have a really good one for us, we love to hear the crazy moments that Amtgard generates.
This is usually the hardest question,
Always
because
the
everyone
hardest
has, especially people who've been around for a while, has a billion stories they could tell.
The only ones that weren't hard, the only 2 people who did not have trouble coming up with something were Sir Michael.
Yeah.
Duh. We were like, tell us a story, and he was like, okay, get my tome. The other person was
Sir Darian.
Sir Darian. Yeah, he was like, oh, I have 7 right now ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
This is kind of the idea is like, you're standing around the campfire and like you typically have stories to tell.
Yeah,
So like one of those stories is usually the ones that people kind of go with.
If you can start it with no shit, there I was.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, it's like there's actually a joke around here. Story time with Broton.
Oh, perfect.
And it's like I'll just sit there and people will be like, "All right, Broton, tell a story." I'm like, "All right, what story do you want?" All right. God. You know what? Since you brought up Michael,
Oh,
I have a story with Michael.
Cool.
perfect.
So, back in the day, back in V7, we were just traveling around. It was like probably a year into Michael moving out to our area and being really active in Minnesota. And it's like we're traveling around, and we went to one of our parks, Dark Shores, and Dark Shores is what sadly was a really big park. And we're just 5 of us. It was Michael, his squire, Lily, Hercule, myself, and Rayhawk. And we're just out there, and it's like someone got the big britches on, like, oh yeah, it's like we could take on this whole park because that's how great our. And it's like they're like pointing each of us out, and we're just like, don't guys, we don't need this. And then someone was like, yeah, you guys couldn't even take on half of us. And that made us go like, what did you say? And it's like, it turned into this 5v, like 35, 40 people. I shit you not. And we're going, and it's like, for some reason, they're like, okay, the teams are uneven. So we'll make this a tunnel game. So it's just a line. So no one can go outside that. And I'm like, do you really want to do that? And it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you that handicap. And I'm like, all right. So like, we're not, it's like even playing our best classes. And it's like, this was like my first flex ever. Like I knew, it's like, oh shit. We are as good as I think we are. Because it's like, I'm out there as a bard. Michael was playing, I want to say Wizard. Lily was playing Warrior and had like armor setup going. Hercule was playing Healer, and Rayhawk was just a Druid. And it's like, very first thing I do, I extend Legend into their front, not their front line, like 3 people back.
Oh, perfect.
In a choke point that they make for themselves.
Yeah.
And I just held everyone up. And when people walked by, started yelling at them from behind, they would turn. Our people would kill. Petrifies, fireballs, just coming in. And it's like, people are like, how is this happening? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just a bard. And it's just, it was so silly. It was just so
good and so bad at the same time.
Yeah, it is. Oh my God. Legend was, it was my power move. At one event, it was a Halloween theme event, and we're stopping zombies. So I tag like half of the zombies, and we all start doing Thriller.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Just God. Oh my God.
What are you doing?
That's
I
kind of
can't
the part
stop.
of Amp Guard I kind of miss in battle games and stuff too. But like, if we look at it as purely as a battle game of like PvP type thing, it's not great. But from a role play or like fun perspective, a lot of that stuff was great.
Listen, if fuckery's your thing, it was great.
Yeah, right.
And for me,
thought of another story.
Oh, excellent.
Perfect.
No, go for
Yeah,
it.
go ahead.
So, okay, they renamed, but there was a park in Canada called Wildguard.
Okay.
It's frozen fields now, but a small day for them was 80 people.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Holy
wow,
fuck.
They were a kingdom on their own, but they were built on roleplay.
Hell yeah.
It's like the last 2 hours of every park day was open role play. Just come have fun, whatever. They had storylines they were writing for each other and all stuff like that.
Broton, are you telling me that battle gaming and role play encourages more people to come out to Amp-Guard?
I mean, call me a madman.
Oh, that's weird.
But-
That's weird.
I mean, I was sort of sold on that idea when the majority of people were like, I heard this is live action Dungeons and Dragons. If we say yes, there should be some role play in there.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so I went up there and it's like, got along with all these people, and like the people in charge are like, man, it's like, you seem like a really go-getter. And I'm like, well, I try. I'm just a dwarf bard doing my thing. And it's like, hey, have you ever dealt with demons? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like back where I'm from, we had this big giant quest where we gathered these items to make this sword. I have it in my keep at home because they're always in character.
Uh-huh.
It's like this golden sword that would banish demons to wherever they come from, and they can never come back. Oh, really? You don't say. We have a demon problem here. I'm like, if you want, I could bring it up next time I come up. It's like, oh yeah, do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like 6 months go by and I'm just saying I have to plug in my phone. It's about to die.
Uh-oh.
It's all good.
Welcome to the ceiling.
Hello, ceiling.
So, all right. Well, just goes into me holding the phone.
Yeah.
All right. So I go back up there. I travel up there with Michael and the Tigers, fighting company. I don't know.
Mhm.
And it's like, I tell them, it's like, oh, they want us to take care of demons and all that. And Michael's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, aren't you a paladin? He's like, I don't know what's going on, but I have a feeling. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it whatsoever, because I'm just like, I'm just going to be the guy getting rid of demons. Bye. And it's like, I show up there and it's like at the beginning of their questing, they would tell everyone, it's like, all right, this is what's happening right now. This is what's happening in town. Just recap in case you missed stuff. And then they point out, it's like, then we have the Crusaders from the South here who are here to take care of business. And I'm like, yes, trying to be like a paladin, even though I was playing Bard, but I was mimicking a Barbarian, so I was a Rage Mage.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
And just like, yes, any demon shall fall before my feet. This plane is for people of this plane only. Bruh. And so we start questing. Michael and like the Tigers, they're just sort of sparring with people, just trying to bring the High Cross, the Church of the High Cross to people and stuff like that, having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm just out there, and it's like their area is like 3 football fields and like a wooded area.
Oh, nice.
So I'm just like trekking around, and it's like whenever I would see someone, it's like people I'm friends with. I'm like, hello there, adventurer, how goes it? And they just like stop and like and run away. And I'm just like, oh, that's weird. Okay, whatever. They're probably role playing something. I don't know. Whatever. They're having fun. And it's like I start running into like other people, and they're like, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. We don't want you here." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Can you explain why?" No, you're not worth our time. And it's like I go through like 3 groups of people telling me this, and I'm just like, oh my god, what did I do wrong? Am I just like, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I run into this like girl. She's probably like 12 or 13 out there playing. Clearly she's a demon. It's like she had like little horns on her head and like that, and she just like starts swearing at me. And at this point I'm upset that people are just being like rude to me, not telling me why. Like my friends aren't even telling me why. And it's like I said, this girl's just mouthing off to me, and I'm just like, you know what? Be gone, demon. And they just bop. And it's just like she just like looks at the sword, looks at me, and just starts crying.
Oh,
like
shit.
hardcore crying.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, no, it's the flat. It's the flat of the board. It was clearly I turned it. It's nothing. You're fine. You're fine. I'm just going over here now. I'm going over here now.
God.
Super confused why a little girl's crying.
Like, this is
at
exactly
me.
what it looks like. Oh God.
Yeah, I did not touch her. I'm just leaving. And it's like I'm in the woods and they're like small little paths, and I run into another demon who is like once again goes into the rhetoric. It's like, how dare you? And I'm just like, yeah, no. You know what this sword does, right? And he's like, I know what that sword does. I'm like, cool, it means you're not immune to my shit, right? And he's like, yeah, I know everything. And I'm like, cool, I hold person him. And I'm like, all right, tell me what's going on. It's like, I put down my stuff. I'm like, breaking RP. What's going on? Why is everyone angry at me? I don't know why people are being mean right now. It's like, Broton, you don't know what's happening? And I'm like, no, I was told to come here, fight some demons, and then I was going to like just have fun with my friends. And I was getting really heated about it. And he's like, we were told by the monarchy, if a demon gets killed by that sword, our characters are dead.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
Dead. Like our characters, and they were so hyped on their characters. Like, they would make Facebooks for their individual characters.
No.
Oh man.
And it's like, they were their characters. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's like you were brought here to exterminate us because the people in power don't like that demons are a big thing. And the person in charge was in charge of the holy temple, and we questioned her all the time. And I was like, oh, now I know why Michael didn't want to do this.
You have that moment where you're like, are we the bad guys though? Like,
Yeah.
Are we the
bad guys
baddies?
now?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I'm just like, that's when it super dawned on me. I'm like, oh crap, I'll be right. You know what? You're no longer held. Go find the other demon people. Bring them back right here. I need to talk to you. I swear I won't kill you. Let's. I'm fixing this. I'm fixing this right now. But I book it off. That little girl is still standing there crying.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
And of course,
hey,
you don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I do.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, hey, I did not kill you. You are fine, okay? That was, I didn't touch. Nothing happened. I hit your force field. And it's like, I like crouched down and I'm like, no, it's like, actually, it's like I threw like this yes story that, no, actually, there was something special about you. And then she stopped crying. She's like, really? And I'm like, yep, you're awesome, but just don't swear at adults, okay? I start walking, I like hustle back, and like all of them are there, like the majority of demons, like, and they were so big into it. I don't know if you guys remember from the door, the extraplanar entity,
Oh, yes.
basically the god creature.
The EPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had one for demons.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it was on his call to like avoid me at all costs. And he's like, what are you doing, Broton? I'm like, hey, I am not role playing right now. I know what's happening. I'm being used as a hammer and I don't like it. And they all were like, oh, okay. You said you're going to fix this. And I'm like, okay. Within the scenario, how can this work? What do I have to do to make you leave without killing your characters? I mean, if you kill the Lady of the White Temple, because she said if anything, demons or otherwise, get killed by that, they're dead. And I was just like, so you just want me to kill her? I can kill her. You want me to go kill her? Well, she can't be killed in town. If she's killed in town, she gets automatically rezzed by the temple. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm good at this thing. I'm like, all right, just when I'm at the bridge, because they had a bridge made up,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, as soon as I'm across the bridge, everyone come out. And they're like, okay, but we're trusting you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I'm a dwarf of my word. Don't worry about it. So it's like, go back to the temple, and I'm like, I have demon problem done. I have it figured out. I'm going to get all of them out of your hair. Don't worry about it, all right? I just need you to come confirm this last ritual I have to do. And she's like, what? Are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, did you have to kill anyone? Not a single person has died. It's fine. Don't worry. When you hold this sword, you can do magical things, I'm informed of. And she's like, oh, okay. So she comes out with her 2 bodyguards, and we go, and she's like, why are you going to the bridge? And I'm like, oh, we have to do it over there. It's like, because over here is all blessed. We need to cleanse that area. This area is already cleansed. She's like, that makes sense. So we go across the bridge, and all the demons come out. She's like, wait, what's going on? And all our guards jump out in front of her with their shields up. And I'm just like, don't worry. It's like, this is part of the ritual. Everything's going according to plan. She's like, all right, but I'm trusting you. And I'm like, and I'm trusting you. And I take 2 steps behind her, and I start like saying mumbo jumbo. I don't even know what it was because it was off the top of my head.
Right.
And it's like, but I'm throwing holy stuff in there and cleansing the land and some like hell and brimstone stuff because apparently that's what she was into.
Oh God.
And then it's like, I shank her like right in the back, like 3 times just in case. And she turns around. It's like, why did you stab me? I'm like, because you're dead now. You're dead because you died. Well, I'm just going to come back. I'm like, you're outside of town. By the rules that were told to me, this sword kills anything, right? That's what you told these people? Yeah. And I'm like, cool, then you're dead. And I look to the demon prince. I'm like, is everything cool? Are you guys going to leave the plane? And they all just stare at her. It's like, yeah, her blood's worth it.
Nice.
And it's like, it was like sort of children of the corn, not going to lie. They all wandered back into the woods, and I didn't see them the rest of the day.
Oh man,
Jesus!
It was like a third of an 80-person park disappeared.
That's nuts.
Fuck.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this was super cool, but at the same time, what just happened? And as we're riding home, I asked Michael, I'm like, Michael, do you know that was going to happen? Yeah, there's power gamers in our game that like using this to try to push people around. That's why I don't like initiate in that. And I was like, well, at least I figured it out. And he's like, yeah, you did. It only took you about 2 hours. And I'm like, thanks, Michael.
You could have covered that on the drive up. Yeah,
You
like
could've just told me, brother.
No, it's better if you learn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, now I do. It's like, because of that, it's like, because I never even would have thought someone's going to use an in-game thing to like sort of bully people around. And it's like being made of, it's like, I don't mind being the bad guy.
Right.
I really don't. Because you need a bad guy for good storytelling.
Mhm.
Sure.
But when you are made the bad guy and you're not aware you're the bad guy, like that felt awful.
I can
Like
see
I
that.
generally felt bad, especially making a little girl cry.
Yeah.
I felt bad. And so I was just like, yeah, no, power gamers. Ever since that point on, if I think someone's trying to get the better of me, I would just be like, oh, you don't say, huh? Let's see where this story goes. And it's usually Broton like fucking someone over who's trying to use them. And
Well, cool. That was a really good
yeah.
set of stories, man. I really appreciate you sharing. I got one last question for you before you go. Recommended manga series for our listeners.
oh man,
I know it's hard.
Oh, I actually get this asked a lot. It really depends. Can you give me a genre? Can you give me a genre?
I'm not gonna give you a genre. I'm
no
gonna say,
isekais, and if you say One Piece, I'm ending the call right now.
I mean, if you see it over, it's like the bottom 2 rows right there is One Piece.
No.
I mean, this rows right here are Bleach.
Shit.
God damn it. God, I have over like 200 different series. Because this is a LARP one, I'm going to highly suggest Overlord.
Okay,
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Overlord.
Overlord. I mean, oh no, it's an isekai.
Yes. I was gonna let it slide, but like,
No. I can work in this. You know what? Just because it was my very first manga, Shaman King.
Okay, Shaman King legitimately fucks, so yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, I'm a giant fan of it. And for those who don't like to read, Netflix actually has done a re-release of it, the anime.
neat.
So
Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us, man. This was a whole lot of fun. I want to give an extra special thank you to all of our Patreons too, and everyone who supports the channel. Again, if you'd like to support us, all of the links for our Patreon are down below. You can also just subscribe. It really does help quite a bit. And even if you didn't like us, click that like button occasionally. YouTube likes that for some reason. Lucas, you want to roll us out?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or Spotify to get notified about new episodes. And make sure to follow us on Facebook for announcements and more.